There she is.
Hi,
Hi,
how are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Well, thank you. How's
How's your week?
my week? I've had kind of like I've had an odd week, Linda. I've had an
Me
odd week.
too, Heidi.
Yes.
I have too.
Have you?
Yeah.
What's been the oddest thing, honey?
Well, I had a nail in a tire. And then this morning my truck was dead. It wouldn't start at all. I don't know what's the matter. And then I was in court yesterday. Why do I see that funny thing on my screen? And then yesterday I was in court, the mayor's court hearing, and it's just been a crazy odd week.
That
And
is
then I'm supposed to be in Richard's office today closing files because they've got boxes of files for me to close because that's my job. And then they had crazy computer problems there. They got hacked.
what?
Yeah. Thank God they got everything backed up.
Why?
Yeah, it was one of those scams where you have to pay to get yeah. Like they're okay because they have everything backed up, but they got to clean everything. One computer's completely fried.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Oh my
it's
God.
just been one of those weeks where it's like, what else can happen? It's a
Wow.
test.
That's crazy. Yesterday I had to go. So I have over the last number of years, this is a crazy thing, over the last number of years. Okay, I want to say probably like 4 years ago or so, I had this pain in my chest that was so intense that I was rushed to the hospital. Like, I'm not lying. I thought I was having a heart attack. And I'm like, I'm too young. How can I be having a heart attack? And so I went to the hospital and they hooked me up to everything. And they're like, no, 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 you're not having a heart attack. And then they did some tests in that and they said to me, what happened? And a lot of people mistake this for a heart attack. It's one of the number one things people mistake is when your esophagus spasms. And
Okay.
the pain is here and it's really intense in your back. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. So anyway, this happened like I said, a number of years ago. And of course I'm busy and it like happened that once and then it wasn't really a thing. And then kind of like, I am the worst person sometimes when it comes to like truly taking care of myself and things. And I'm very impatient with stuff. And so then over the last number of years, different things started shifting that the spasms would like sometimes be really bad. And so like I kind of started to learn to deal with it. And then I had different things started to happening. I started to choke. I started choking on food and food kept getting stuck. And I'm like, what is happening? And so like I would go to my doctors and she'd be like, Heidi, how is the thing going with your esophagus? And I'm like, like I think it's getting a lot worse. And so she's like, Heidi, like I got to send you to get this checked. And then I'm like, I think like what is that when acid comes back? Acid reflux. And
Reflux, yeah, yeah.
you suffer with acid reflux. And she's like, Heidi, and like I've gotten to a point, I have to tell you something. I used to be a person that I would eat hot food. I loved hot, like you have no idea, till I would cry. Like that is how much I love spicy food.
Oh,
For the last year, I have not been able to have 1 ounce of spicy food. Like I can't even tell you the pain that I'm in when I eat anything spicy. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? So then finally, my doctor was like, that's it, Heidi. Like, I am sending you to see a specialist. Like, I think this is ridiculous. You're not taking care of yourself. So I went to see a specialist. So I started telling him all of my symptoms and the coughing. Like, I get up in the morning and I'm like, cough, 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 cough. And so anyways, he's like, okay, you have to go for one of those gastroscopy things or whatever.
yes.
Yesterday I had to go to the hospital and they have to like put you under for that, which I had no idea that was totally going to throw off my whole day yesterday. I can't even tell you how out of it I was yesterday.
Right.
But he went down and so like after you come out, he's like, I want to talk to you because it was just over at St. Mike's. And he's like, okay, so I went in and he's like, Heidi, there's a lot of damage to your esophagus. So he's like, I've taken biopsies from your stomach. I've taken biopsies from your esophagus. And so I need you to come back in a couple of weeks. We have to start assessing what is actually happening here, because like you have a lot of damage. And I'm like, oh, maybe that's why like I choke all the time and like I have this pain all the time. So today, I can't even tell you, like yesterday was so bad. I can't, like the pain yesterday, it was like my esophagus was spasming the whole day from having this thing done. I was in so much pain last night. I was in so much pain. And then today it's still there, like the pain right here.
Yeah.
It's like it's constantly just like spasming, and it's right in the middle of my back. And I'm like, oh my God, all day I'm like, oh, Michelle. And she's like, Heidi, I just feel like you're definitely not yourself today. You're definitely like, yep, I can tell you're just like not right. And I'm like, and so I like took ibuprofen or whatever to just, stop it. But
Yes.
yeah, it's like, I'm like, but I have to tell you, I am grateful now that I am taking care of this. I am grateful that I'm like going to get to the bottom of this and find out what this is. But do you know how weird it is to describe to people? Yeah, I have esophagus pain.
No kidding. I know. You know what? I get it, because you're like me. It's like it's like my facial pain. I don't want to become, every time people meet me, it's like, well, how are you? And it's like, oh, I don't want to talk about it, but sometimes you're forced to take care of it. I know.
So yeah. I'm happy that I'm finally getting this taken care of.
That's good.
The doctor that I'm seeing. I have to tell you, you'd swear to God, this guy was a part of the Positive People Army. He is like the happiest, most lovely, most genuine human being. Like, of course, I was graced with this beautiful doctor that is taking care of me. So,
that's nice.
and like my family doctor is just as lovely as well. So I'm very lucky that I have incredible human beings that are taking care of me right now.
Oh, that's good. That's good news.
That was my weird week. Like yesterday, I did not expect to be taken out for the entire day like that. Like I just thought, yeah, I'm going to go in the morning, going to get this done.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be fine. And then they give you this thing. They're like, can't do this, you can't do that. You pretty much just have to rest the whole day. And like, thank God Mike was home. I was like clueless yesterday. Like, yeah, I haven't had a sedative or anything like that in like so long that, yeah, you're a little out of it.
It really knocks you for a loop, doesn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, how is everyone else doing? Ahmed, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. Can you hear me?
Yes, very much so.
Okay, I'm on a new laptop. I don't know if it's all working or not. That's why I asked. So.
No, everything is great.
Good. Yeah, I've taken maybe the last week or so since I guess the last PIP meeting, and I've kind of done that thing we spoke about a few weeks ago where just go back, reassess. So I haven't been out and about too much other than tons of work, and come home, reflect, look at journals, and look at family albums, stuff like that. So it's been a really quiet week for me. I haven't gotten myself into any trouble.
Well, that's good.
And it's unusual for me. So.
That's good.
But it's okay, things are settling, and I was thinking when I was driving home today that, I'm part of a PPA ambassadors, but I've more been like a diplomat, just kind of hanging in the background and not doing anything, which is what most diplomats do. So I'm ready to be an ambassador, ready to step it up now that I have this computer and can do more.
Amazing. Ahmed, it's always there. You are ready for it. 100%. That's wonderful. Have you heard anything from your girlfriend?
No, I think I'm single again. I don't know. No. Yeah, because they're not looking for her. And, so either she's passed or she's a POW, but they're not looking for her. So
okay.
Maybe at some point in the future, for her daughter's sake, Krupp met with the crazy guy in Korea. Maybe he'll meet with people in Iraq and get the POWs there released too.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah, crazy. Listen, our thoughts are definitely still there.
No kidding.
Appreciate it.
Whatever you need through this.
I'm sorry?
And whatever you need. Remember, like, we're here for you as well.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Definitely.
You know, that's one of those things I can't do anything about, Heidi. I mean,
I
it
know.
is what it is. It's over there. I mean,
Yeah.
there's nothing I can do. So I'm just concentrating on the things that I can do, which is my whole employment situation. A few weeks ago, I told you guys my condo flooded, so now it's getting fixed. So these are the things that I can do something about. So
Yes.
those are the things I'm concentrating on, and the things I can't do anything about other than prayer. Then that's all I do.
Yeah. I completely agree. I love that focus because I find sometimes there's so many people that concentrate and worry and put so much energy and effort into the things that they can't even do anything about. That is life. And I mean, there are moments where you have to lean into whatever emotions those are to get through, but there's really nothing you can do about it. And sometimes it is a matter of letting go if you have to, right?
Yeah, that's one piece of exciting news. Remember last week I was telling you guys that I used to teach. I went to Korea for 1 year and taught, and the same companies approached me about going to China.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I'm having an interview with them Friday morning, so
Wow, congratulations.
thanks. So we'll see. Maybe in the new year I'll be off to China for a year.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine? Wow.
Yeah, like I said, I gotta learn how to say positive people are me in Chinese. In one of their dialects, anyway.
And I have a feeling you will.
Yeah.
I'll probably learn it Friday. That's the first thing I'll ask them.
Amazing. Oh my gosh, I love that. Then you have to come back and tell us. You have to share that with all of us.
Assuming I'd come back, you know, I'll be real honest with you. When I went to Korea, it was very tempting not to come back.
Wow.
Ah.
You know, because you take over this classroom of, you know, the classroom I taught when I went to Korea, most of the kids were 10, 11 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But they walk into your classroom the first day, you know, all they know of English is whatever they may have heard on TV or in a movie. And in Korea, actually, there's not a lot of it. So they come in really not knowing much. And at the end of the day, at the end of the semester, you can actually have a little bit of a conversation with them as long as you speak slowly. So it's really good when you see that difference.
Yeah, I bet.
And it's kind of enjoyable. And when at the end of that first year, they came back and they said, "You want to stay another year for, you know, this amount of money?" I said no, because, you know, I had things I wanted to do back here, so I came back home, right? So
Yeah.
if the same thing happens this time, I don't know. I don't have those same obligations anymore.
I have to tell you, I think that is a wonderful frame of mind to listen. If you love it, then you have the option to stay. If you want to come home, you can come home instead of I have these obligations. I'm just there. It's just like, listen, that's kind of a really wonderful opportunity.
It
Yeah.
is. Hopefully Friday morning it'll be something, a hard copy in writing, and then I can decide what I want to do.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So Friday morning, we all need to definitely be sending out some positive vibes in your direction for this to happen. What time is the interview?
9:30.
9:30. Our energy is
Okay.
9:30 on Friday. Oh my gosh. Yes, that's amazing. Amazing. Okay. Double N Jen, how are you, my lovely?
I'm all right. How are you guys?
Good. Good. Tell us, how was your week? How are you doing?
It was a rough week, but slowly coming out of it, so it's good.
Good.
Yeah.
Good for you, honey.
Thank you.
That's amazing. No, that's absolutely amazing. I'm so happy for you. Listen, it's coming. It's coming.
Yes, it is.
It is amazing.
It is. Thank you.
I saw you earlier today on our ambassador call. Tell us how you're doing. Oh, I think you're muted, Liz.
Yeah, good. Well, Linda, my love, I know that you're into numerology like I am, like crazy. So I've been seeing 555 for the last 3 weeks, everywhere, all the time. So 555 is big change coming. Change.
Wow.
like Linda, like we're having lunch on Friday, but it's like crazy. Like I look at my odometer, 555. Look at the clock, 555. Wake up, 555. Like crazy, crazy, crazy.
Wow.
So something's coming. I don't know what it is. I'm not trying to force it. I don't know whether it's going to be good or bad, but my intuition tells me it's going to be something great. And so I'm just trying to do all the things that we've learned over the last 11 weeks, which is gain perspective, take a step back, put things into the big picture, and
Yeah.
and I've been a lot more engaged, obviously, with the Army and the
Yay.
ambassador program, and really trying to support the other leaders. So I've had a bunch of conversations with some of the other leaders about, well, sort of how can we show up as leaders to support each other. And we've started to do that, which I think is important. So
Oh, you're froze.
No, all of this, Liz, is absolutely amazing.
hiding to showcase so it's good. So I'm working on that, and then the idea is to share it with the other leaders so that it's a group effort. So it's not going to have my ambassador hashtag. It's just going to have the general ambassador hashtag so that we can just funnel people in. And I feel really good about it.
Good.
I think it's going to be a good thing. So, 555. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh my God, I love 555.
Yay.
Hi, Andrew.
Hi, Andrew. Okay, well,
Hi, Andrew.
Andrew, what's up, hon?
Hey, I got a first shot this time. Look at that.
Yes!
I missed you guys last week. I had to do that whole forgiveness thing all by myself.
Oh my God. How did you do? How did you feel going through forgiveness?
You know that I went through 12-step programs a few times, and I have that kind of as a toolbox for myself anyway. So a lot of the things that I could have carried for a long time, I've let go of. Now it's more of a kind of yearly or as needed basis where I go back and kind of make the amends to others, including myself. So I don't tend to carry a lot of resentment with me. I can say what it did bring up is that I learned before that we were only given what we were able to deal with at a certain time. And for some of kind of the heavy hitters in my life, I'm kind of at a spot right now, I think, where I'm more able to deal with some things. And a few things have come up recently where I thought that it was kind of put away and done and dealt with and such. And just getting into conversations with others that are going through similar situations is putting some things back on my plate right now that I've had to revisit and relook at. Wow. And actually just dig deeper into and kind of try to drag those shadows out. A lot of that came down to, though I forgave other people for the things that happened at that time, I didn't have the capacity to do that for myself.
Wow.
So, on the heels of forgiveness, I did go through and I did some journaling, and I longhand wrote some things out just to keep looking at it. And I'm nowhere near letting go of them now with this new insight, but it is in front of me now, and I'm aware of it. So.
Wow. That's amazing, Andrew. That's absolutely amazing. I have to tell you, that awareness is phenomenal. That is everything. That is the doorway to our emotional intelligence. And the thing is, like someone, could say, well, I've been through the 12-step program. Like, I've got forgiveness. It's good. Instead of going, I did do a part of it, but wow, there's still a part that I haven't done. And so I think that's absolutely phenomenal. And I think it's wonderful that you're taking the steps to get there, because forgiveness is kind of everything. It really is. It's such a freeing emotion. The hardest and yet the most freeing of every single emotion that we have. And getting there it's pretty unbelievable. And And guys, I got to tell you, when you go through and you truly do every step of forgiveness in the matter of forgiveness of others, and then the biggest forgiveness of yourself, it's amazing how much you walk around in life realizing the souls that haven't. It's like you come across them and it's almost like you have x-ray vision. It's like you have something. It's like you have a magical power, like whatever it is. It does start to feel like that, and you start to all of a sudden see the baggage that those people have on them and why. And it's because they haven't gone through forgiveness, and that's hard when you do get to that place sometimes, because there are so many times where I meet people or I have conversations and with people that have gone through self-development for years, way more than even I have, that they've gone through, and yet they've forgotten that one, or they've missed it, or just aren't ready for it, or whatever it is. And it's like, wow, you can feel it. You can see it, that it's all over them, that forgiveness has not occurred yet. Everything else is occurring, but that just hasn't. Andrew, for yourself, or when you're like, wow, this is a place that I'm going to, that's amazing. Amazing. Be proud of yourself, Andrew.
Thank you.
Yeah, really proud. Karen, how are you doing?
Oh, good, thanks. I'm I'm out and about. We're actually at Red Lobster celebrating.
Oh my gosh.
So
Yes, I'm so jealous right now.
I have to talk quieter because my son said I'm talking really loud.
Oh my gosh, that's the word.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Totally, we can hear you.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Are you
So-
celebrating something tonight?
Yeah, my son had some health concerns, and he is not what he thought it was. So we're celebrating
Oh,
that we think he just had a sinus infection or something, but he was having pressure in his head and whatnot. So he had a scan done, and so we're happy about that. But his doctor's away, so he's just been bouncing around the medical system. So it's been a
wow.
little frustrating, but we're celebrating the good news. He had a
That's
scan.
amazing. Well, we celebrate with you. Thank you for letting us join you at Red Lobster.
Everything's backwards. There's a sign.
Amazing.
And actually, and then numbers. I saw 111 today, and it turned out to be a job. It was like jobs recommended for you, and it was 111. And so I clicked on it. The very first one was an administrative job with a property management company, but in a office, not in the apartment. So I thought, okay. And then the house is just like around the corner from where I live. I just thought it was a house. I didn't realize it was actually an office. I never noticed that. So I went over and dropped off a resume today. So we'll see what happens with that.
Oh my God, Karen, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wow. So you had that opportunity happen. Omen's having the interview on Friday. This is amazing. Oh my God. I literally have goosebumps right now. I'm like, this is amazing, guys. This is really good.
Oh, that's a good sign.
Wow.
That's a sign of confirmation. So
Yes,
that's good.
it is. Oh my God. I am like, woo, you just keep talking, Karen. I'm like covered.
So my air conditioning's really on in this place. That's why I got like 2 jackets on.
Oh my God. Crazy. Well, guys, we are on our very last workshop. And of course, it's authenticity. We don't go through what we've just gone through for the last 11 weeks without ending it with authenticity, because the entire goal of the PIPs is to truly get to a place in our life where we now fully and forever move forward in an authentic way. And there's so many different ways that we haven't. So this particular workshop is kind of one of my favorites because it is about authenticity, and especially because it dispels so much about how people throw around the word authentic now and what people feel it is when in fact it isn't. And that does happen a lot, especially in society now, and people use it as an excuse to something. So authenticity is being, of course, true and honest to one's own personality, spirit, or character, despite outside pressures, okay? Despite all of that. It's living with integrity. and having credibility in one's words, behavior, and an absence of pretense. So all of this stuff was very much what we talked about in Impact. So you guys had a big part in the whole authenticity part, because we did take that in Impact, and how all of this had to be a part of authenticity. Being authentic means you are being faithful to internal values. We spoke a lot about values in Impact. Internal values rather than external ideas from the world. When you put on a mask to please others, you are being false to yourself. And a lot of times people feel they put the mask on to be better in front of other people, when in fact what you're doing is not being true to you. And it is very true. A lot of people talk about that mask. Well, I have to put a mask on for this, a mask on for that. There are situations when we do have to do that. But what happens every time we put on that mask, and I have to tell you, I was a freaking expert at putting on that mask for so many years of my life, because I wouldn't show 1 ounce of my vulnerability to anyone, because I felt it was my biggest weakness in life. And so I used to do that. So I was never living my authentic self. Most people associate authenticity with being true to oneself or walking the talk, which we talk about a lot. But there's a problem with that association. It focuses on how you feel about yourself. Authenticity is actually a relational behavior, not a self-centered one. Okay, and we're going to talk about quite a bit of that as we go through this. True authenticity doesn't require you to tell anyone else what your values are, because everyone will be able to see your values in the way you live your life. When you are fully authentic, you don't reveal your chosen values, you become them and you live them. One of my favorite examples of this is people that constantly walk around and they'll be like, oh my gosh, like, don't talk about positivity. I'm the most positive person you will ever know. A positive person doesn't need to tell you they're a positive person. They just are a positive person. And it's the same with authenticity. When people are walking around going, oh my God, I'm about as authentic as it's going to be. Really? Are you sure about that? Because what you're telling me by telling me that you're authentic is you're actually not. Because again, you don't show it, you live it. Okay? Meaning that to be truly authentic, you must not only be comfortable with yourself, but connecting with others becomes comfortable as well. Okay? So, of course, everything that we do in these workshops, to really get to the point of what things are, we really have to look at what it's not to understand what it is. Okay, so what authenticity is not. Being authentic does not mean that's just who I am. If I hear one more person say that, I'm going to slap them silly. Okay, I swear to you. It is not a free pass to interrupt people, demand your own way, disregard the use of discretion, because that's how you really are deep down inside. It does not mean you can dress like a bum. You can't just walk around and just like, you know, you're in an office, a corporate office, and you're walking in all disheveled in your track pants and your t-shirts. You can't, because that's who you are authentically, right? It's also tell people how you really feel about them. Rude in response on the phone or an email because you're just being you. A desire to be authentic should rid yourself of the behaviors that others would find unattractive or offensive, and instead work towards becoming the best you can. So being authentic is none of those things. It's not that free pass to just, well, this is just who I am. And so many people, well, if you don't like it, this is who I am. That's not being authentic. We need to understand that that is actually just being disrespectful and rude. And this is where society right now is especially like there's a lot of young people that don't understand the difference between truly being authentic and just being downright rude. Okay? Authenticity misconceptions. A lot of people yearn for authenticity. Of course they want that. Yet many people won't ever become truly authentic because they believe 3 big misconceptions about what it means to really be authentic. So number 1, authenticity means acting the same in all circumstances. Now, about 10 years ago, the popular misconception was that loving yourself meant acting the same all the time, regardless of where you are or who you are with. Otherwise, it'd be impossible to be comfortable in your own skin. This is a misconception, okay? The truth. While you shouldn't change your personality, this is not changing our personality, this is not changing our values, it's not changing any of that part. While you shouldn't change your personality like a chameleon, depending on who is in the room, you can present yourself appropriate to the situation you're in. Using a professional demeanor in a job interview, like Omid's got to do on Friday, and presenting a more relaxed version of yourself at a cocktail party doesn't mean you're fake. Okay? So what was happening is people are like, well, I'm just being authentic and acting exactly the same way in every single situation. We can't. We're living in a society that is just not how we deal with things. But because you take on these different traits within different situations doesn't mean you're not authentically living to yourself. Okay? It means you're socially appropriate. You can still be completely authentic while also being aware of how you present yourself to others, okay? So that is one big misconception that is happening with authenticity. Number 2, your values always stay the same. Oh my God, if my values were the same that I was at 18 years old to who I am today, I don't know if you guys would want to know me. You know what I mean? Of course our values change. They change pretty much from decade to decade a lot of times. Or when our family situations change or whatever it is, our values start to fluctuate, okay? A lot of people think if you're authentic, your values will remain the same all the time. It's a concept that has been shared by a variety of CEOs and popular psychology professionals. There is something to be said for this idea. There are many values that go from like decade to decade, but a lot are also going to shift. Yet changing your values to be popular or giving up on certain values because it's hard to live by them isn't authentic. But that doesn't mean your values can't change over time. The truth of the matter is, as your life circumstances change, there's a good chance your values may shift. Your 40-year-old self will be hopeful, have learned a lot since the days, of course, of your college dorm. As your career takes off, your family grows, and you recognize what really matters in your life, your values may change. As long as your behavior is in line with your beliefs, you're being authentic. So as your beliefs shift, so should your priorities. Adjusting your life so you can live according to your values is true authenticity. Okay? So number 3 of our misconceptions, being authentic means being brutally honest. Hell no. No, it does not. Some people try to excuse rude behavior by saying, I'm just being honest. But there's a difference between being truthful and being inconsiderate. Just because you don't like your coworker's new outfit doesn't mean you have to share your opinion. You shouldn't. However, there are people who say things like, I'm not fake. If I don't like you, I'm going to tell you. As if sharing this displeasure somehow means they're authentic. And it's not. They're being hurtful in that situation. They're somehow protecting themselves, whatever is happening in that situation, why they feel they've got to have that massive wall between the two of you. They are going through something more than being authentic here. The truth, being kind and considerate, even when you might not like someone or something, is a social skill. It doesn't make you two-faced, okay? So we need to understand that. The way you treat other people speaks volumes about who you are. Don't think speaking your mind makes you genuine. Instead, if you want others to see you as being real, Focus on showing compassion without passing judgment. Okay, so those are the three massive misconceptions that we have with authenticity that I feel society in a lot of ways right now is struggling with the definition of, because these misconceptions are happening. Okay, so authentic and inauthentic characteristics. Now, you guys, of course, are going to know these hands down. We went through a lot of this in Empact. Research and psychologists say that by definition, authentic people possess a number of common characteristics that show they are psychologically mature and fully functioning as human beings. So authentic people, and of course the inauthentic, are pretty much going to be the opposite. So authentic have realistic perceptions of reality. Okay, what is actually happening in reality here? Are accepting of themselves and other people. So they are not just pushing people away by saying rude things to other people to literally keep them at arm's length. An authentic person is going to be accepting. They are thoughtful. They are non-hostile sense of humor. And you know those people that have that very hostile sense of humor at you, they're pushing you away. Are able to express their emotions freely and clearly, are open to learning from their mistakes. That is one of my favorite ones, because if you go down to inauthentic, they are not open to learning from their mistakes at all. In fact, they're not wrong ever, but they are not living an authentic life, okay? Understand their motivations. So that is a massive one. So they're going through life, all of their motivations are out on the table instead of manipulating what is happening, okay? This is what it means to be true to oneself. So of course the opposite, it's going to clearly be the opposite for an inauthentic person. Are self-deceptive and unrealistic of their perceptions of reality. So they are the people that are continually, when someone is in a grumpy mood at their office place, they automatically think that it has something to do with them. That is, they are having an unrealistic perception of reality. This is an inauthentic person. Right away is going to think that. They look to others for approval, to feel valued, are judgmental of other people, do not think things through clearly at all. These are the people that make those spontaneous decisions in the moment, and they're not like, okay, just give me a minute. You're not going to hear that from an authentic person. Just give me a minute to really think this through and make sure that I have both sides of what's happening here. They're right away going to make those decisions. And in a lot of ways, it's only going to benefit whatever's happening to them instead of what needs to happen for everyone. Have a hostile sense of humor, are unable to express their emotions freely, and not open to learning from their mistakes. And they do not in any way understand their motivations. If a person has defensive and self-deceptive approach to life, then no matter how passionate and committed they are to a cause, ultimately, they are not being true to themselves. Truth is, most people have no idea who they are. I'm going to tell you guys, most people don't. They don't have a clue as to who they are. They are so caught up in daily distractions that they are lost and they don't even know it. They've become a composite of their parents, friends, and idols and accept it rather than question it. And you hear a lot of, well, this is just the way that I am. Instead of actually having some awareness to maybe shift and change it. So you're not that way anymore and you're living more your authentic self. So, inauthentic warning signs. Some people are in environments that values people pleasing and fitting in, which often stifles our authentic self. And these are why, if you noticed above, I said the word chameleon. There are many people who are chameleons, and you guys probably know these people, where the moment they go into a relationship, they take on every trait of the person that they're with. All of a sudden, it's like, you know, their new spouse, their new partner in life likes running and likes heavy metal music and, you know, loves to, like, you know, I don't know, just eat chicken wings on Fridays and go bowling, whatever it is. I'm making all this stuff up. Wow, that guy doesn't sound very attractive. At least not in my books. But some people are like, woo, I wish I had that guy. But the thing is then all of a sudden it's like your girlfriend and you're talking to her and she's like starting to dress more like in heavy metal stuff because that's the music he likes. And now she's taken up running. And now she's like, you got to join us. We go bowling every Friday. And it's like, what are you talking about? You are a person that loves to wear pink, and you're a person that loves to go to the opera, and you're a person, it's like, what are you doing? Because they're becoming a chameleon because they don't trust in anything who they are, so they become the other person, okay? We find ourselves being variations of ourselves with different people in our lives. We play it safe to avoid being judged, hurt, or even losing the acceptance of others. We choose to hide our true selves to protect ourselves, okay? Here are warning signs you are leading an inauthentic life and not feeling good enough. Number one is staying aloof. And there are a lot of people that do that. They just kind of stay aloof in any sort of situation, don't or want to experience joy. They don't. Anytime that could ever happen in their life, they're going to tell you why it probably isn't. Feelings of distrust. They have no opinion at all. You ask them, well, what's your opinion on this? I don't know. What's your opinion? No. Well, like, I know what my opinion is, but like, what is your opinion? I'd love to know yours. Oh, like, you know, like whatever you think. So these are people, they're distrusting all of their own thoughts. They follow the crowd, won't take a risk, is abrasive or defensive, takes things personally, and always has a wall up. So these are all those inauthentic warning signs that are happening with people. People who feel they cannot express their vulnerable side remain guarded and surround themselves with virtual walls. I have to tell you guys, as you know, I finished that book. There is a particular story in that book where I talk about a majority of my lifetime where I wore a mask every single place that I went. No one saw the real side. Nobody. And I was really good at it. I would not even admit that I had a cold. Sitting on here tonight and telling you I have this esophagus thing, that would never have happened years ago. I would never, because I would feel I was now weak and you could at any time hurt me. Because now you know I'm not feeling well in some sort of way. And this would be a great time for you to plan an attack and hurt me in some way. Throw me under the bus, whatever it was. I was very, very good at wearing that mask. And always, it's like I could easily assimilate to whatever situation was happening because I had my mask on. And it wasn't until going through so much self-development that I've gone through and finally, and that's why I say those three things. Did the sky fall? Did the earth open up? Did I die? Because I implemented those three things when I would automatically want to put the mask on and not show whatever vulnerability I had to start asking myself those three questions to take the mask off. And it was a real visual thing. It's like I could see the mask. In the moment, it's like I could feel it. I would put it on. I had this whole thing, how I would talk myself into, mask is on, no one can hurt you, right? And it was like I finally started to take it off, and it was I had one particular incident where I finally took the mask off, and I reached out, and I asked for help for the first time in my life, and the complete opposite of what I thought was going to happen happened. And I have to tell you, I have never, ever wanted to put that mask on again, ever. I definitely like this person a whole lot better. It's not nearly as much work as putting that mask on all the time. And then you get to a point where it's like, listen, that's okay if they don't like me because I actually like me. So it's okay now, you know? So it was a massive journey for me, but I get this, where people do walk around in that inauthentic behavior. By remaining guarded, a person is choosing to keep love, fun, compassion, joy, and the possibility of anything good from being experienced. And hands down, I can tell you that is true. 100% that is true. Okay, so can phoniness hurt us? Phoniness, when we are being a phony person in life. Our lives are filled with examples of inauthentic behavior. We feign interest when our partners describe their day at work and laugh at our boss's bad jokes in order to be a positive team member or build relationships. This is how we get along, right? This is totally how we get along. And it's how some of us even get ahead, right? Yet according to Miriam Kochaki, a professor of management and organizations at the Kellogg School, our chronic phoniness comes at a cost. This research, if you dig even deeper into this research, it'll blow your mind. In her latest research, Kochaki, together with Francesca Gino of Harvard and Adam G. Galinsky of Columbia, these are like brilliant minds, shows that being inauthentic actually makes us feel immoral. Inauthenticity shows up as immoral behavior in our body, okay? We shouldn't overlook the psychological distress that comes from inauthentic behavior. She says, just as an immoral act violates widely accepted sociality, moral norms, and produces negative feelings, an inauthentic act violates being true to oneself, and it can take on a similar toll. It does the exact same thing in our body. This is how it shows up according to this research. The research concluded, number one, people felt icky. I love how these brilliant minds put it down to the word icky. But when you say that word, everyone knows what that feels like. You know what icky feels like, right? Kochaki's research is the first empirical demonstration that authenticity and morality are linked in this way. This is mind-blowing research that inauthentic behavior is immoral in our bodies. Across 5 experiments, she and her colleagues discovered that when asked to recall a time in your personal or professional life when you behaved in a way that made you feel inauthentic, participants expressed greater feelings of moral impurity than those who recalled a neutral experience. On a 7-point scale, those who described an inauthentic experience related their feelings of impurity at 3.56 on average, compared with an average of 1.51 for those in the control group. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous that that's where it's rating on a 7-point scale. Staying true to yourself matters, even if it is difficult, because we notice that there is a cost involved in staying too far from your personal values. So that's the thing with inauthentic behavior. We're going against our personal values, and we are literally then telling ourselves we've done an immoral act. That's how it's emotionally showing up. Okay. Number 2, people felt they needed to make a moral compensation. If inauthentic behavior makes us feel less pure, what do we do to compensate? Feeling impure or immoral is a threat to one's moral self-concept. Kochaki says, and when your moral self-concept is threatened, you have to address it. In a follow-up experiment, the researchers found that feeling fake can drive people to engage in pro-social behaviors as offering help or donating money. So when you are, say, at work or with your friends and you've in some way acted inauthentic, it's like we start to figure out how we can somehow make that up. So people start doing charity work. People start offering help to people or want to do something. So all of a sudden, they're feeling good about themselves again. We've all had certain comfort zones when it comes to our moral concept. Kochaki says the level may be different for a saint than an assassin, of course, but the basic dynamic holds true. When people act inauthentically, they find a way to return to that comfort zone. We have a kind of moral debt that's caused by being inauthentic. And it does happen. You know that feeling when at work and something happens and you didn't speak up because you didn't have it in you to speak up. It was against your values, whatever it was. You're going to somehow in your life in some other way try to make up for that. You have a moral debt, okay? Number 3 is emotional labor. The fact that inauthentic behavior threatens our sense of morality may shed light on certain aspects of the modern workplace. According to a 2013 Gallup poll, which if you don't know what that is, it's an assessment of public opinion by the questioning of a statistically representative sample, okay? Only 13%, this is shocking, only 13% of employees worldwide are engaged at work. 13. And for those who eventually leave their jobs, frustration, burnout, disillusionment, misalignment with personal values are often cited, right? Kochaki believes this employee disengagement might be caused in part by moral distress. Behavior that alienates people from themselves will always have an effect, she says. For example, this is the greatest example. Hotel staff might wield tight-lipped smiles and impeccable manners during exchanges with the most disagreeable travelers. Kochaki calls this surface acting. Common behavior for those whose jobs depend on politeness and constant restraint. This type of emotional labor has consequences, she says. Of course, being true to oneself is a complex proposition. As human beings, we have multiple identities that shift on a daily basis. From parent to professional, from partner to friend, that happens. Yet it is true that we need to stay true to ourselves, even if it is difficult, because we notice that there is a cost involved in straying too far from your personal values. And think about how many times in hotels, in restaurants, in any of those service professions, how people, it's just a constant revolving door of people, and they generally don't give 2 weeks notice. It's generally they've been pushed so far that they blow up and quit. Because what happens is over and over again, they are asked to do an immoral act. They are asked, even though they're not immorally doing something wrong, but when you are not being true to who you are and your authentic self, emotionally that is showing up, psychologically that is showing up that you have done something morally wrong. Okay? And that's why all of a sudden these people are just like, and I'm out. Because they just can't take it anymore, not being who they are. And you always hear that, especially these professions, especially in work, where these people don't understand who I am. They're constantly asking me to be something I'm not. You hear all this stuff. It's showing up. It's constantly showing up because psychologically and emotionally, it's showing up within us. Okay? So that is probably by far one of the most incredible pieces of research on being inauthentic and being that phony person, and what a detriment it is to not be an authentic human being. Okay, so how do we embrace authenticity? So now that we know all this stuff about what happens if we don't do it or what it isn't, how do we embrace it? Number one, self-awareness is the key. Andrew, you are so on the money with that self-awareness. It is the key. The first step to rediscovering and practicing authenticity is taking some time to reflect on yourself. Getting to the heart of what you believe and value, which is why the values exercise is so incredibly important, is critical in being able to access your true self. The deeper and more detailed you reflect, the closer you will get to your authentic self. Once you know yourself better, it becomes clearer when you are not acting in a way that honors who you truly are to your core. Okay? Number two, see, everything that we have just gone through in all of them is showing up here. Forgive and love yourself. To find your authentic self, you need to forgive yourself for past mistakes. Your ego loves replaying and punishing you for bad choices, which makes you feel unworthy and not loved. Learn to embrace your imperfections by journaling or talking to trusted friends. By humbly owning your mistakes and learning from them, you can repair your self-worth and confidence. Also, by cultivating kindness towards yourself and accepting the past, you will fall in love with yourself again. Number three is be vulnerable. For me, that was the biggest thing of my journey to becoming an authentic person, was truly learning what vulnerability is. This can be a difficult step, hands down, one of the hardest things I've ever done. Yet it is the only way to be authentic and connect with others. We must be willing to believe in our choices, even if we fear others won't like them. And that's one of the hardest parts, right? We must take the risk to love who we are, even if we are unsure others will love who we are. If we can let go of the notion of needing to be perfect and to be accepted and replace it with loving our imperfect selves, we are practicing authenticity. Number 4, stay away from the comparison zone. My favorite thing, and Liz, I know that you love this one so much. In one of my videos last week, I said, people, I'm going to tell you something. You are an apple. The people you are comparing yourself to, they are oranges. You, no matter how hard you ever try, you are never going to be an orange because you are an apple. And it's that simple. You're a freaking apple. Every single time you're like looking at someone on social media and you're like, oh my God, I wish. You're not a freaking orange. You're an apple. Be the apple, right? Try to avoid situations in which you might be tempted to compare yourself to others. Don't take part in activities or hang out with people who might trivialize your integrity or minimize your value. Okay. And that is a big thing with people, because there are a lot of people, and sometimes, I hate to say it, it exists within our families. It exists within our families, how comparison and judgment and all of that is happening, and it literally minimizes our value. Okay. So we have to be very careful of that one. Number 5, let go of expectations and timelines, which is why the expectations workshop is so important. Strive to find peace and happiness in the present moment, even if you're not where you want to be. Examples: you have to do certain things by a certain age. If you're not educated, if you're not married, if you don't have a child, there are all these timelines. It doesn't matter. We all do it at different times. One of my favorite things to talk about is, when little kids are born. When little kids are born, between the time they are born to 2 years old, they're all going to do things at different times. My ex-sister-in-law, she had her son before I had my son, and her son walked at 10 months. Mine didn't walk till 13 months. But it doesn't matter, because they say they're all going to do it at different times. Talking, walking, potty trained, whatever it is, it's all going to happen in and amongst that from the time they're born to 2 years old. So we need to remember that exists in life as well. There is no age that we have to get married. There's no age that we have to, have children. There's no age that we have to say our education is finished. There's no age that we say that we're done doing and following after our dreams. One of my favorite examples, I said it in my video today, Colonel Sanders opened Kentucky Fried Chicken at 66 years old. That incredible franchise didn't even begin till the man was 66 years old. Okay? So listen, we got to let go of all that, because it doesn't matter. Let go of these arbitrary rules and designations. Live according to what feels right for you. Do things on your terms and on your time. It's your journey, guys. It doesn't belong to anybody else but you. Okay? Number 6 is create a daily practice. Create a daily practice of living authentically. Commit to taking care of your mind, body, and spirit, and compassionately decide to nurture a loving relationship with yourself. So this is why journaling is so incredibly important. Also, by practicing mindfulness, we can begin to teach ourselves the warning signs of inauthentic behavior. Eventually, as we pay attention to ourselves more often, we begin to make more conscious and genuine choices beforehand so that we can handle new situations more authentically. And journaling is the perfect practice for you to do this. Okay? Number 7, check your damn friend list. Would everyone check it? Toxic people. Are you surrounding yourself with people who you can be yourself with? Can you speak your own truth when you are with them? Do you feel relaxed and confident about yourself when you're in their company? If you answer no to any of these questions, it is time to consider cutting ties with these people, or at least creating healthier boundaries with them. Okay? All of these. Are you starting to see a trend here? All the workshops we went through. You cannot live an authentic life without these things existing in your life. Okay? So, how to practice authenticity. Now, you guys did this values exercise. You did a lot of this. When we have the courage, just being who we are, without apology or pretense, so much of our suffering, stress, and worry in life simply goes away. Here is an easy 3-step process to practice being your authentic self. So number 1, okay? Now, the values exercise that you guys did, that Michelle took you with, was very much about choosing your values, then taking them away to realize what your values are. This is a little different, this exercise, okay? But very much about the values. Choose your values. Knowing your values helps you understand what drives you, what you enjoy, what inspires you, and what you'd like more of. By building a life and a lifestyle around our values, we create a life that is more satisfying and meaningful and authentic. We are each unique, and values change over time and deepen as you understand yourself better. Now, below is a list, and undoubtedly there's going to be words in here. You guys can add your own words as well. It's not just this list. So feel free to add anything that you need to the list. Okay? Number 2, take action. So first, choose your values, add if you need to. Number 2 is take action. These are the values you want to live in your life every day, because I am very much about, don't just pick your values. Let's take action from them. Write them down in your journal or create a poster, and then create an action plan for each. Example, one of my values is family. Okay, that is a massive value in my life. My action plan for that, ensure my children's needs are met and they are getting my attention by having fun time, activities together, showing my love and being there for them. I feel this is necessary because this is who I am. I would otherwise feel frustrated and guilty if I didn't do this. So you need to pick a value, and then how are you going to action it in your life every single day? Okay, how are you going to bring that into your day? If, for instance, one of your values is wisdom. I know, Andrew, you are an avid reader. You are always reading. You are always taking in wisdom. Now, say you fell off track and you know that is your value. You want to make sure that if your value is wisdom in life, that what is your action plan every single day? And I do know that you do this. I'm not picking on you, but you read diligently every single day. You know, you listen to books on tape. You do all of that. So it's about bringing that into your life. If, you know, being grateful, gratitude is a massive value in your life. What is your action plan to make sure that it is a part of your daily life? Are you reaching out to one person every single day and letting them know your gratitude that you have for them? Are you continuously thanking every single human being that comes into your life for whatever they've given you, whatever it is? So it's about coming up with your action plan for it. So don't just learn what your value is. Start implementing it into your life, which is then going to push you more into the authentic behavior that you want. When we show up and take action without pretense, we connect more easily. Our life is more meaning and we are more successful. And like most things, if we want to get really good at it, it has to be practiced and practiced. It's noticing when we don't show up to our true selves and using the insight to move on by adjusting our behavior and words. In doing so, we feel less burdened, we are more approachable, and people look at us for more guidance. Okay, so that's number 2 that you're going to do with your list. Number 3, make a goals list. Okay, look at the work you do and look at the relationships you have. Do your values you have chosen currently align with what you want to do? So what are your goals that you have? Are those values matching up for you? If not, start making the necessary changes. Make a plan for how you will achieve your goals. Look out for values that are sabotaging your time and energy, and live for the ones that bring out your authenticity, making you happy and likely to achieve your goals. Because there's so many times that people have all of these values, but they're being pulled in so many different directions because they're letting those values in their life take more precedence instead of pushing them towards what their goals are. Does everyone understand what I'm saying here with the goals part? Yeah? Okay. So, values are not set in stone, so they may change over time. So we need to remember this. Just because your values right now, you're gonna act upon and push them in the energy towards your goals, doesn't mean that the rest of the values don't exist. And things can start to shift and change as your goals start to shift and change. Okay? You will find you no longer have to fill many versions of yourself, only the best one. Because by following your values, you live with integrity, truth, and you're a happier you. Don't let your role in life define who you are. Take action to become your authentic self. And guys, that's the end. That is the end of authenticity. How are you guys feeling? Are you guys going to do this activity? Okay, so I'd love to find out what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on authenticity? I'm going to start with Linda because we started on unmuting you, honey. I'm going to start with you. Did you ever realize, did you understand that not living your authentic self means that you are morally not showing up to you?
Yes, I have.
You did?
I've had, do I understand or have I lived like that? Yes, absolutely.
No, but was that shocking to you?
Oh, was it shocking? Yeah, actually, as we were going through this, I'm like, wow, that's interesting. I didn't realize that that's what it was. I realized it maybe what wasn't my values, but I didn't think it was being not authentic. But, you know, this is an interesting workshop. Very interesting. Yes.
It is amazing.
Yes, it's very.
What about you? How did you feel?
I'm unmuted. Are you talking to me?
I'm talking to Omid. You're not.
Thank you.
Andrew's like, I am so ready, man. I am unmuted.
I wasn't sure you could hear me. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. So for me, it was a little strange because I think I told everybody, 20 years ago I suffered a stroke. That's why I'm handicapped. And I think before that, I always thought I was authentic, and then afterwards I realized that I wasn't. And it took something major like that to bring me to that realization. And it's been an awakening of sorts, but also if you told me back before the stroke that I was being inauthentic, I would have told you you're crazy.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Because you get into you get into the cycle of you go to work and you have to be a certain way and this way and that way, and you put all, like you said, Heidi, you put all these masks on, and all of a sudden you're not yourself anymore. And at the end of the day, it becomes routine. It becomes the norm. So you think this is who you are. This is what you're going to do the rest of your life. So you're thinking you're being authentic. So it takes a little bit of a shock to your system to maybe realize, or that's what it took for me. And I would say, I realized maybe 2-3 years after the stroke that was never truly me before the stroke. But it's a whole other thing to find and define, the true you and the true self. And like you said, what your values are. The exercise we did at Impact, which is just like this, I loved it. Our table was myself and Liz and one and Jen. And I was sitting next to Jen, and I was kind of cheating, peeking over at hers. And one of the values is like yours, Heidi, is family. And I don't remember what day we did that on, whether it was the third day or the second day or the first day. But I remember, I don't know if you remember, Liz, but I kind of leaned over to Jen. And I told her, "You're such a mom," because you knew at the end of it, family was going to be big for her, right? But exercises like that are really good in helping you figure out who you are. It's one thing to realize you're not yourself. It's another thing to say, "Well, who am I? What is my value in this regard?"
Totally. And that's the thing. And that's why it's so important in one of the lists there, where it's like to really sit with yourself, to really start to understand who you are. And I know for myself, it was that weekly meeting that, I would sit with myself, and it was like really trying to understand like what I liked, what I disliked, what I loved, what I hated, what resonated with me, what didn't. It was like really trying to discover all of those things. And I was asking myself really hard questions that I couldn't lie because I asked the question. You know what I mean? So it's like going to that place, and all of a sudden it's like really realizing, I didn't even realize that was something I actually don't like. That or this is one of my strongest values that I had, and I didn't realize, these things. So it's you really do have to sit and understand who you are. Thank you so much, Elman, for sharing.
Well, to answer your question, so yeah, I will do that exercise, because I think the more
good
you can,
because that's the thing. It's not, truly being authentic is not just realizing what your values are, but how are you living them? Because like I said, being authentic isn't telling people I'm an authentic person. You don't need to, because when you live it, you don't need to tell anyone that, because they already can understand what your values are because they see you living it, right? So it's put the action in place, and then again, take it a step further and make sure that those values and those actions meet with the goals that you have in your life right now, so that you're putting the right energy where it needs to go. So it's such an incredible exercise. Andrew, I know that you are unmuted, so you are next.
Stomping out the bit. I'm so sad this is the last one, not being authentic. I absolutely totally agree that authenticity changes with conscious awareness of who I am and who I'm becoming and where I want to go. Who I thought I was last year is definitely not who I am this year. I've spent too much time, half dozen years, kind of living based on and getting sucked into somebody else's idea of who I should be. This past year has been astounding for me as far as getting re-established in myself, refining myself, and coming back to my true authentic self. And I have to say that being like that is joy for me. I mean, not having to depend where I was in a relationship for the previous years on my actions being relative to what somebody expected from me. And just refining myself in that way where I can ask myself if it's all right, and I can say yes. Or I can ask myself, I can say I don't want to do that, and I say, yeah, don't do that. I mean, just solely being based, it's been an amazing journey for me in the past year, just working from myself and refining myself and working from that space. I like the action part of it. I would like to think that most people understand my authenticity by my actions. I'm pretty consistent with the way I act. Most of my social circle is at work, but anyone there knows that I'm a no bullshit kind of guy. I don't contribute to drama. I don't stir shit at work. I don't fight with people. I don't raise my voice. I mean, consistent action like that, I think they understand who I am based on that action, right? And I think that's more important really than anything else. Yeah. I mean, my words change and my ideas change and daily, and things change in me. So, I mean, all I can do is really just act according to what my integrity and my morals and my values are. I don't get duped so easily now. And I have to be honest that as far as a relationship goes, I'm scared shitless.
Wow.
I'm loving this part of it so much where I'm not being influenced, right? And well, the relationship work that I'm doing right now, it's all great and it's good to know and everything like this, but I have to wonder if when I'm in a situation like that again, I'm going to have the balls not to bow again. You know, it's been easy to do it under my own devices. I wonder how it would work in a different situation.
For you, it's going to come down to the boundaries you set from the get-go.
Right.
And, you know, and it needs to be discussed boundaries. You can't come up with your own boundaries and just expect that's going to come in and expect the other person to know that. It's a matter of when you go into the relationship from the get-go, that you discuss where the boundaries are and how you are going to want the relationship to happen, you know, and that is probably where, you know, your other relationships, it didn't happen. You kind of got in and it was like, you know, like we're in love or whatever it is. And then what would happen is you have your expectations and boundaries but they weren't discussed mutually. And so that's when conflict starts. Well, all I would say is you've got all the tools, Andrew. You have every tool to go into the relationship. It's just implementing them now.
And don't get me wrong, it's not like I'm looking for that. It's just that's something I'm considering, right?
Exactly. So. But one day you may be ready for it.
One day.
Exactly. Devlin, Jen, how are you doing, honey? How was authenticity for you?
It was good. You guys, I don't know if it was just me, but I'd be listening to you guys and you'd kind of cut out and I'd lose you guys for a while. Yeah. So I don't know if it's just me, like my Wi-Fi or what. But no, I liked this, and I'm glad it was last. That's, I guess, what I'm working on this whole time. Trying to walk the talk and whatever. It's getting to here, and it was just nice to hear it and stuff like that. And I'm just gonna keep working at it.
Exactly, because that's the thing. You know, authenticity couldn't go anywhere else but last.
Yeah.
Because all of the other workshops lead you to here. This is why it is so important to go through all of those steps to finally get to this place where it's like, okay, now I've got it. Now I've got all the tools.
Yep.
Live it. Yeah. And listen, you guys have gone through now 12 weeks of this. That doesn't mean only you're cured. You are self-developed. It just doesn't happen that way, right? It's a matter of now, you know, like I love how Liz was like, you know, it's a matter of like, I'm going back and I'm really bringing this stuff in and I'm having a more open mind and I'm giving the perspective and I'm doing all this. It's like, yes, all of it needs to now become practices on a daily basis. All of them need to come in. And you know what? There's always going to be times. I mean, what was it, last week or the week before? Linda was talking and I'm like, Linda, get back to excuses. Get back to that one. You know, and when those people all of a sudden shut up, it's like, or show up in our life that are like, ooh, oh God, stuff is starting to show up with that person. Go back to toxic people. Get it. Like, you know, read that workshop. It's always going to be there. Guys, I have to do the same thing. Like, I totally wish I could tell you I am so perfect at all this, but I'm like, not in any way. You know, it's such a journey, even for myself on a regular basis. One of my favorite things is when Mike will point out things to me, you know, and he'll be like, Heidi, like, just for some awareness, like, you know, my perspective, like listening or what's going on here is just, and I'm like, oh my God, you're absolutely right. Oh my, yes, that's exactly what I'm doing here, you know? And so, yeah, it shows up in all of us. And that's what's so fantastic about being in this space, is that it's just a constant, amazing, evolving journey. It really is. It really is. Miss Liz, how are you doing? You're muted right now.
How am I? Good. This was interesting. The thing that was the life define you. To think about that. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Because that's just kind of mind blowing for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who were you? Who are you? What roles do you play? And how do they really define you? So that's, I know it's the very last line in our notes, but I was like, wow, I don't know. I have to think about that for a minute. So I'm going to process that.
I love it.
Yeah, because I'm very much a labeler.
Yes.
Try not to be Linda, my love, but I am a labeler. So I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a VP, I'm a coach, I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm a mom, I'm a grandma. Mm-hmm. So to strip those labels away is like taking your mask off for me.
Totally, 100%.
Yeah.
I always felt there was a big portion of my life where I felt my make a difference, my happiness, my thing that I was supposed to do was my job. It was, I was going to find it within something that was not me. And I continuously looked outside myself for the answer instead of looking inside. And it wasn't until I, had a mentor friend of mine who, like, I'm not lying when I say she went up one side of me and down the other. And it was like probably one of the hardest, most difficult conversations I've ever had with someone. And I love this human being to death. But she really just, she called it as it is. She's like, I have watched you for 15 years, search for so long. And sweetheart, it's time for you to start looking inside. And I was like, you don't know what you're talking about. But like, listen, I used every excuse, every mask, every deflection, every boundary. Like, it just all happened. And it wasn't until, and it's true, I'm very much like you, Liz, as well, that I have to walk away and process something. And I'm very angry at her. I was furious at her. And, like, I know myself better than you. How dare you? There was a lot of that came out of me. And, I had to go away, and it took some time. And I was just like, fine, I'll have these meetings with myself, literally in the beginning, to prove her wrong. And, it was just like, I'm going to do that. I know myself better. And it wasn't until all of a sudden it was like, it actually started to work. Like, there was parts of, and I had done so much self-development, it's insane. And yet there was still this element, right? So it's like, listen, we all evolve. And that's what I find so fascinating about life and about, so you process as much as you need to get to the place that now you can finally just live that authentic self. I love that, Liz. Karen, I know you're probably stuffing your face with lobster and shrimp. Oh, you're in the car now.
I'm not driving though, I'm parked, but yes, it was very good. I hadn't been to Red Lobster in years. I highly recommend it.
Biscuits are amazing.
They are.
Wow.
Yeah.
So were you able to hear? Were you able to process?
Yeah, I listened to it all, and the part that connected with me the most was, I think the term was socially acceptable, time and place for everything. I think sometimes I may be overly authentic. I know I'm different. I embrace it. I call myself the crazy lady. My husband doesn't like it when I do that, but I need to reel it in on occasion. There's certain like office situations and stuff where like I just want to share what I know with the world, but there's certain times where it's maybe not the time and place for it. So I need to keep that in mind and reel it in a little bit, I think.
Yeah, you know what? It is true, because it's like, it's very much, you need to remember that just because you don't share it in that particular situation, depending on what it is, doesn't mean that you're not being authentic to yourself.
Right.
Cross off your values, you're going against your values, you aren't. So in situations, we can act differently, and that's okay. Now one-on-one, if you're at work and instead of like, oh my God, you guys should do this, authenticity, blah, but then you bring aside a friend and you're like, listen, I want to hear this up, but I know you'll get it and I wanted to tell you this or whatever, that's perfectly fine too. So yeah, no, I completely understand what you're talking about, Karen.
Yes.
We're so similar.
Yeah.
There's stuff I haven't even told you yet. We are like, our background's similar. We have a lot in common.
Wow.
A lot.
Wow, Karen, I think that's fascinating, eh?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it. Okay, guys, we have finished all 12 weeks. This is super exciting. So what is going to happen now is, of course, everyone process what they've just gone through. And then what's going to happen is it's now put on your plate. Like Liz, for instance, I know, sweetheart, you've already started a process of like what you're doing to go forward and work forward. So it's up to all of you now to get in touch with me. We will book an appointment. There will be a phone call. We will take you through the next step. Should you wish to start moving forward and qualify to become a PPA leader, we need to start that process next, okay? So what happens is there is a phone call. We take you through exactly how everything works being a PPA leader. We then send you a package. Within the package is your non-disclosure agreement that you will sign. There is also, all of the package has all of the qualifications it's going to take to become a PPA leader. In that, one of which is you book with me 2 sessions, 2 workshops that you run for me, okay? We sign on together, you run it. I am just a PPA member named Heidi. I am not a workshop leader at all. I am not the person that taught it to you. I will ask you questions. I will interrupt you. I will chat to you to see how that you're monitoring Zoom. All of that's going to happen. We go through the entire workshop together. It is recorded as well so that you can have a copy of it. At the end, then I walk you through exactly what happened, what I saw, how amazing you were, what are things you should work on, whatever it is. We then schedule another one. Oh, my dogs are barking. Somebody just came. So we go through all that. So listen, in the phone call that we set up with myself and Michelle, we're going to take you through all of this, okay? Let you know exactly how everything works. But now we start going through the process of that. Okay, so if this is something where you guys, you're like, I'm really interested, this is what I want to do, then let's start the process. Okay, so yes, Omid. Oh, you're muted.
What's the best way to let you know? Email?
Yeah, you can email me. I know you guys have my text, either one. Just let me know, and then we will set up an appointment. So what might happen, what I'm do is I'll wait for all of you to start contacting me. Then I will send you an Acuity link. So I have an Acuity schedule that I will send to all of you at the same time. If I know there's a number of you that want to get on that phone call, I will send you an Acuity schedule, and it will literally give you times of when you can book yourself in. You literally book your own appointment, and it just notifies me because I've given you the times that are available. And then we just have a phone call together. We go through everything. We send you that entire package with the non-disclosure agreement. Once that package comes back, the non-disclosure is all signed. Then you guys can start booking your workshops with me. Once the workshops are done, once you've gone through the qualifying process and it's like, this is amazing, super excited, we then have another follow-up phone call to now talk about the marketing portion and how all that's work. It is a process, guys. And then the marketing portion of it, you will then get the official contract. Okay, the first one is just your non-disclosure. The second one is your contract as a contractor of the PPA. Okay, but listen, we take you guys through the entire phone call. Schedule yourself. The phone call takes 30 minutes for us to go through everything, that first one, and then we send it all to you. And then after you've got everything, don't ever hesitate to email and ask questions. And well, you guys know we do that now. Yeah, so that's next. So congratulations, you guys just finished the PIP. You guys are geniuses. Amazing. Okay.
Can I say that I outgrade Andrew on this?
What was that, honey?
I said, can I just say that after the 12 weeks, I'm grayer than any of the rest of you?
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Ahmed, that's only because I'm the hairdresser that makes sure I'm not.
Yeah.
Thank you. Goodbye, everyone. We'll talk soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, Liz.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.